Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Have you ever been given the wrong advice? Been told to expect one thing and then experience the complete opposite? Well, we're here to address this. Each episode we bring on a guest speaker from Brunel, whether they're a current student or alumni, to discuss some assumptions that we've had or where we were told things that we were supposed to expect them this way and this was completely different to what we went through. But don't worry, we're not going to leave it there. We're not going to stop there and leave you in the doom and gloom of uncertainty. We're going to be offering some personal tips and advice on how you can learn from our mistakes and experiences. So, to kick things off, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker. So, Jazz, how you doing?
I'm good. Got in from the snow today.
Yeah, it's.
I'm all right.
See, look, it's always good to hear that people can make it to these episodes, especially in person. Yeah, the snow was a struggle. But we made it here. So yeah, we're very excited. But yeah, some of our audience might not know who you are. Some of them might know who you are even. But yeah, could you just let us know a bit more about you?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Jasmine Pink. I am alumni at Brunel, did my undergraduate and my master's here. I am, however, also staff at the union. So if you are part of a society and you get an email from Jazz, that is from me.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. And in traditional fashion, I should say, we started to start so no one told you. We even got background now. I've become more professional as each episode goes on. As you can see, we sort of do a quick tip or unknown facts or things like that, whether it's about, things at the university or things online. Now this is credited to an account that I follow called Unknown Facts, which regularly posts, some unknown facts that you may or may not know about. Some of them are, particular to certain things. So some of them are quite, if you're a Marvel fan out there's some there as well. But we're going to keep things, I guess, we're going to keep things. I just need to find it because I found a really good one. Yeah, here it is. So, this unknown fact, I don't know if you were told this, Jazz, but yeah. So, did you know that essentially countries on the equator have 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours of darkness all year round because of their position because of their position on the Earth and because it's on its axis and the way that it faces the sun. So they have 12 hours of full, sunshine and all of that, and then 12 hours of darkness. I don't know if you knew that, but then it even gets, I was just gonna say, it even gets crazier. I don't know where it is in the world, but there's places in the world that people actually live in where they only have a 1 hour of darkness. So they're, usual day, even the UK, everyone says every winter, oh my gosh, I can't believe how dark it gets so quickly. But yeah, the thing is, in that place, they have 20, I'm pretty sure it's 20 plus hours of just pure sunlight. So imagine, from 12 a.m. to 10 p.m. is just pure sunlight. And then 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. is then just darkness. And then it just repeats. And then there's somewhere it's the complete opposite. So they have barely any sunlight and then loads of darkness for the whole time. But yeah, that's a cool thing that you guys can now share with your friends and say that you learned from Jeffrey. So yeah, thank you. But yeah, so as you know, and as you can see from up there, we're doing another episode of So No One Told You, and this episode is all about So No One Told You about dating while at uni. Uni is a new experience for many people. In our previous episodes, we've discussed, the joys and some of the difficulties of living away from home, especially if you're an international student coming to the UK for the first time. There are a lot of things you have to get used to. Definitely one of them is the drinking culture. But also, in our second episode, we discussed about living on campus. What are some of the cool things you can do? We've got Jazz here, societies, big shout out. The union, again, another shout out. Do a lot of events. But then in our last episode, so in episode 3, we discussed all the things about, making the most out of uni. And again, societies was there, getting involved in stuff. And for some people, dating might be an area where they feel like they need to sort of make the most out of uni. But yeah, we're here to discuss, people's assumptions on dating, some of the expectations that whether, it's from our personal experience, from experience of family or friends, things you've seen online. As we sort of always joke, university is not like every American show that you see. You don't just walk through and then just become the talk of campus or things like that. It can be difficult. But yeah, we're going to start off with our first assumption. So First assumption I've got here is that there are loads of opportunities for you to essentially find someone to date at uni. Now, Jazz, when you went to uni, you know, we sort of discussed it a bit briefly before we were recording. You know, what you know, uni for a lot of people is when they're away from home. There's no family pressure per se, especially if they're living on campus. But there is, you know, like you said, that idea to explore, you know, see what you like, see what you don't like, you know, sort of enjoy yourself. Trying to think of like any uni TV show, and I just can't think of anyone. And the only one that comes to mind is Euphoria, and I know that's not about university, but essentially, you know, did you have like expectations of TV shows or films that you watched, and you were just like, this is what dating at uni is going to be like?
Not from TV shows, no.
Okay.
But I did have expectations coming
Okay.
into uni. I was like, I'm gonna find a boyfriend. I'm gonna spend all that time. I'm gonna be a uni wife. I'm gonna like cook for my man. It's gonna be all great. And actually, that's not what it was.
Hmm.
I'm kind of glad you brought up the drinking culture because the dating culture kind of comes with it.
Hmm.
That you'll be on a night out and you'll see him across the club and, we'll lock eyes. And it was like, no,
Yeah.
no,
No.
it's not like that. Or, you'll go to a society meetup and, he'll be across the room, meet and greet, and he'll come over, he'll give it the good talk and it'll be all nice. It's like,
No.
no,
No.
no.
No, I completely agree. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm a hopeless romantic, but I think definitely, like you said, like you know, you see the rom coms, or you see like you know music videos of romance. I think the one that sort of fits what you're describing perfectly is this is a throwback. But Walk the Dance, or no, sorry, Walk the Moon did a song called Shut Up and Dance. And it had this sort of same thing that you're saying, you know, this person is just like across the room, they see someone, they lock eyes, and it's like the music's playing, the only they hear, and everyone's just, you know, everyone else is moving around, but they're sort of still looking at each other, and it's just like, yeah, that's not.
That's the house party where
Oh,
everybody
yeah,
fades away and it's just you two in the room.
exactly.
Doesn't
It
exist.
doesn't exist. No,
Does not exist.
that's so true. And that sort of links to the reality, which we're going to talk about, which is sometimes it can feel hard to approach people. I think, like you mentioned, you know, as a guy, I mean, again, I'm not speaking for all guys here. I'm just speaking as myself. But I know that sometimes, like you said, like there's that if you're at a party or you're at an event or society thing, and you might see someone that you're just like, oh, hey, I'd like to get to know them a bit more.
Mhm.
You sort of feel like there's that pressure for you to sort of like, you know, approach them. And, you know, like I as a guy can say the amount of times I've known friends that have been, you know, shot down. And I'm not saying like, you know, if, you know, you can't be shot down. No, I get it. But, you know, sometimes it can be especially kind of, you know, make it harder for the next time for you to feel like you want to approach people and stuff. You know, I mean, I know sort of with the dating stuff. You know, the guy's usually the one to approach people, but I guess I should ask. You know, it's always good to ask. Jazz, did you feel the same way? That it was hard when it came to dating for you to approach people, and even the opposite. That you know, sometimes, like you said, the difference in culture,
Mm.
whether it's to do with like how you were sort of raised and you're going to like a new place, or even if it is like internationally. So, you know, dating is sort of different depending on the part of the world that you're in, and there are different expectations with that. And we'll sort of go into that a bit later. But yeah, was that, you know, did you feel like it was hard to approach people?
Um, I'm a pretty chatty person, talkative person. Any alumni who was with me at the time when Attic Uxbridge existed knows that it was not difficult, but that's because that was me. That was the way that I was raised. That's the personality that I have. But yeah, it can be hard to approach someone. It's like what I mentioned with the drinking culture. You know, you go up to someone in the middle of venue and they think that you just want to have sex with them, and
Exactly.
that's because that's what happens more often than not. You come to uni and you want to find your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and you might want to find that one, but you go up to someone that's like, oh yeah, I'll totally have sex with you, but it's not going to go any further, and it's like, oh, that's a bit
Yeah.
disappointing. But if you want to date and that's not for you, stick to your guns. Do that. That's perfectly okay. But yeah, it does get hard.
Yeah.
And it's just about the right space, the right time, but also at the end of the day, respect that person, but respect yourself as well.
Mm.
That you know what you're looking for, you know what you want to look for, and if you get shot down, everybody gets shot down.
That's so true.
You're not the only one. Go back up, try again. Obviously, not with the same person. If they shoot you down, take the message. But yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. You might find someone in September, be happy all the way to your finish, or you might just find someone come second year or even third year, and then you'll go from there and you might be happy there. There's nothing wrong with that. And I just have to say, girls, please do not stand on the side of the room in the club or at the bar thinking my man's gonna come over to you just because you're looking pretty. If you like the look of him, go over to him too. You don't have to be there inactive, right? Do something. Be proactive.
No, I definitely agree. And as a guy, like I think kind of what you mentioned, and it links to something. It's. I'm trying to put as our audience probably might know that we sometimes put like something not necessarily funny, but interesting talking a point about this, and it links to something that I'm going to talk about later. But like what you said, like that expectation of sometimes girls or even like guys might think, I have to go over to this girl and talk to her if I like her. Sometimes, like you said, you don't need to. Whether the girl comes and talks to you, whether the guy, I don't know, you just happen to both be at the bar at one time and you see, she's ordered a drink and you're just like, oh wow, what's that drink? Or I really like that drink. But yeah, no, I definitely agree that there's sometimes you sort of like in whether it can both be a society thing, it can be a parental thing, but there is that pressure. And I think, it's really hard for you to not sort of fall to it. Whether it's to do with like, how you're sort of seen in your friendship group. Like if you're the only single person in your friendship group, that can kind of hurt because you're then like, oh great, everyone's going on double dates, and then here I am like awkward third wheel, just chilling. But no, it's like definitely, I think that's definitely the case. And then I think another thing to add is like what you mentioned about, getting shot down. I think for me to get personal with the audience for a minute, I think that's one of the things that sort of like for maybe not the last year per se, but like for a period of time, I was just like, I was just like, I'm done. I was like, I'm not gonna, if I like someone, I'm not gonna tell them. Like, I wouldn't necessarily say, like you said, like it was because I got shot down. I'm really angry with the person who shot me down. Like, no, like I think it was more to do with kind of what we said, that pressure, because you feel like, oh, you're at university, so you should have like a girlfriend, or even like, to bring it outside of university, you've got your sort of like internal like success ladder. So you're like, oh, I need a good job, but then I need to have a good house, but then I also need to have like a good partner or a good girlfriend or a good boyfriend. And it sort of like leads on from that. And you sort of feel like if you haven't got one of those things, then you're sort of like successful in all the other areas of your life apart from that one. But I think one of the things that, shout out to Samuel, everyone's favorite, I call him our favorite in-house psychologist, but I don't know, I wouldn't say like he's done the degree, but he's like like we spoke about it a lot, and he's been really, friends as general can be a really good support to sort of ease that pressure. It sort of links to the advice that we've got of don't put pressure on yourself. Do what you're comfortable with, but also like you said, be okay with rejection. I think one thing, not on a dating aspect, but one thing someone told me on more of a like professional aspect about like, and we will be, I know people at this time are probably saying like, I'm looking for a job. When of these guys can talk about it, we will be doing an episode on that. But sort of like on a professional thing, like being okay with rejection. My manager for my placement from undergrad, she said it's a really powerful thing that sort of stuck with me. And my parents have said stuff similar, and it's been sort of something I've sort of tried to go back to is, if you're rejected, from a job, it just wasn't for you. Like it wasn't for you. And I sort of feel like, I'm not saying, everyone's like, I'm perfect. So, if someone rejects me, that means the issue's with them. But I think sometimes as well, like we said, especially if it's just like you're at the venue, you see this person across the room, you're like, wow, she's really good looking. You don't really know like anything about her. Because we all have that thought of, like you said, there's that one person that you won't know anything about them. You'll just see them It would be like love at first sight, cool. Which that can be a whole topic itself. Maybe we'll get into it today. But I feel like it's kind of what you said, like, you don't know if like you were to date that person, if it would have even worked out. And I know friends who have been in relationships with people at the time and they were just like, this is really great, this is amazing. And then you're just there like, oh great, I'm the single guy in the room or single girl in the room. And then it's just like, a few years later, you find out like things weren't as great as everything sort of made it seem. And I feel like that's really a part of that, be okay with rejection. Like, someone out there likes you for who you are. You don't need to try and be someone else. Or like you said, if you're not okay with one night stands, you don't have to then be the person to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be that guy to do one night stands because this person's only up for it. And then one last thing before, because I have a tendency to do this, to just keep talking. So one last thing I'll say, and then I'll pass over to Jazz, was that there was this really interesting thing I saw on Instagram, which was, I don't know if it's from a film or it had the guy who played Shaggy from the live action Scooby-Doo films, but I don't know if he was in a film or he was talking about it, but it was interesting. But he was saying like, even when it comes to like guys who are players, so like, they're sleeping around with people, different person every night. He said like, they're doing that because there was that one person that sort of like rejected them. There was that one person that, didn't take them for, I'm not saying that's everyone. There are some people that just like sleep around and that's cool. But for some people it might be that. And I feel like it's kind of like what you said, like, just be okay with rejection. There will be someone out there who likes you for you. You don't have to sort of be someone that you're not to then sort of feel content. But yeah, like I said, I know I've been talking for ages. So yeah, I wanted to ask Jazz, for this particular one, do you have any other pieces of advice?
No, I think we kind of covered it all. Be okay with rejection. There will be someone else. Like how you said, actually, if that person's not for you, it literally might just be because maybe it's the wrong time and they are actually the person for you. Or maybe it is just because they're not the right person for you at all. I can tell you, I spent the whole of my third year in love and I thought, yeah, this is the guy I'm going to marry. Thought everything was going to go great. And then, we broke up. It was really sad. I was really sad. All my friends around me were not. Because what I did not realize is actually it didn't look as great on the outside looking in as it felt on the inside. And so, it just wasn't the one and it just wasn't it. But that's all right because, I'm talking to someone else. I'm happy. And, I wouldn't have met that person if I was with this one still. So that's all right. Don't be the person that you don't want to be. If you can feel it within yourself, I'm not the one that sleeps around. I'm not the one that, I go out drinking and then I take someone home. I'm not that girl with the roster. Don't be that person. It's as simple as that. You don't have to worry about that. That's okay. Do what you're comfortable with, what you want to do, and how far you're willing to go. And make sure that you respect yourself. Because how are you going to expect anyone to respect you if you don't have any respect for yourself?
Oh, definitely agree. And I think kind of like we sort of ended there, if you, like, I think a lot of people talk about it, whether it's just relation, like, if you feel you're good mentally, you're in a good mental place, a lot of people do say, or even if you're not, like they say the first thing for you to sort of be good at other relationships is for you to be good with the relationship you have with yourself. And sort of like we mentioned, you can't really love others to the best of your ability if you don't love yourself and you don't sort of value yourself. Because I think 100%, like you said, you can, like, again, like, I'm not here saying that, if you sleep around, you're like a bad person. Like, it's up to you if you, whatever you want to do. Like, it's not me at the end of the day. But like we said, I know that personally I can't do that because I feel like that's a level of, like, well, one from a religious point, but I also feel like there's with relationships, there needs to be that connection. And I feel like for me, that's the thing, like now going to, dating and stuff, like that's the thing that I personally look for more, even with friendship, to be honest. Like if there's no connection, or I feel like, in all honesty, like there's nothing there. I just don't really feel anything towards it. Even with work, I keep bringing it back to it. Like I said, we're going to talk about it at some point, but I keep dropping it here. When it comes to applying for jobs, like one of the things that I was told was just, just when you get there, suss out the place. Like, if you feel like actually, you wouldn't enjoy this environment just because it pays more, or just because, it's a good job. Like, if you need the job, then take it. But if you don't, then don't rush into a job, because, like you said, you never know what could be out there that now, because you've sort of taken this opportunity, you've sort of missed out on. So yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, we're now going to before we go to the next point. Yeah, I mentioned that we were going to talk about this. I've got to ask you this question, Jazz. First date, is it that the guy pays? Is it that the girl pays? If let's set the scenario. Okay, so I'm gonna use fake names for this. So if it is your name, I apologize, but these are the names that came to my head. So Dom and Hazel are going on a date. Right? Hazel invites Dom on said date. They bought a meal. Let's just assume they paid similar prices or the same prices for everything. Or let's say at most they did a meal for two. It now comes to the paying for
two.
Okay, cool.
Hey, I'm not a 2 for 2 talent.
No, all right, cool. So they pay for their own stuff, all right. Now it comes to the time of paying. Should Dom be the one to pay for both of them? Should they split the bill if both of them feel like, actually, I don't really want to see this. I don't see this as a relationship. Should they both just pay for their individual things, or? And this is probably like the one that people probably disagree the most is, should Hazel pay for everything because she was the one who came up with the idea of the day?
Yeah, so I'm the worst person with the question, because I always say it's the person who asked the other person out for the date who should pay. However, if you are insistent on paying, I will always make sure I come with enough money to at least pay for myself.
Yeah.
I don't care. Sorry, but I'm going to make sure I at least back myself up, because then if you do turn around and you're like, we're splitting it, calm. I know I'm good.
Exactly.
But if you are insistent on either splitting it with me if I'm the one who asked you out, or on paying because you're the one who asked you out, or you want to be a man, whatever it is, I never understand the mindset behind it. Then at the same time, I'm not going to be mad. So I always say, if it really is going to be a debate, it's the person who asked the other person, because I asked for your time. You didn't ask for mine.
Exactly.
And so you've made the effort to come out, to come hang out with me, first date and whatever, that's cool. But if you are insistent on, no, I'm a man, I'm going to pay. No, it's calm, baby. All right, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue. Why am I going to argue?
Exactly. No, honestly.
But yeah, at the same time, if you're like, oh, no, let's split it, it's cool, I'll be like, okay, cool.
Right.
Or, if we're doing drinks and, first round's on me, I'll go, all right, second one's on me then. That's cool.
Look how easy that question was. Like the amount of times like you could bring this up and then it's just like it turns to a full blown argument of the guy should pay because the guys or like whoever like most. Again, we could go into a whole thing of like, should the person who paid them? Because I also agree, if it comes to like paying, especially like what you said, like if first of all, I do agree, whoever invites the person out ideally should be the one to pay. Second, like even at most, if you're just like, no, I don't agree with that, cool. Then secondly, if you'll both go out and you're like, okay, said guy should pay or girl should pay, I was just like, if I'm cool with just like a starter, and you're here ordering like a 3-course meal, you're ordering like the most expensive drinks on the menu, like, and I'm sorry, I feel like especially if you're a student and you're both students, but this person's acting like, because you said like from the start, oh, it's cool, I'll pay, and they're then acting like, this suddenly means you got millions in your bank account that you didn't know you had access to before. I was just like, why would you then like buy the most expensive things? And just like, even if you didn't know the person's like financial status, like to me, if a girl was just to, say, Jeffrey, cool, on a date, I invited you out, I'll pay for everything, I'm then not going to be the guy to buy the most. If I do buy expensive things, I'll pay for my expensive stuff. But to do that, yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, let us know in the comments. I'm sure there are probably like thousands of people who are going to come at me now because I've now sort of settled this age-old
argument. That is why you make sure you have enough money at least for yourself. Because I'm an expensive girl, so I'm going to make sure I can pay for it.
Exactly.
Because if I can't even pay for it, to.
Exactly.
Sorry, but that's just what I feel like.
No.
And no, I'm not trying to pander to the male view. Just saying.
No, but I definitely agree. I feel like, especially when it comes to, and I guess it sort of links to our next point of like, there's that expectation when it comes to university that you will meet your spouse at uni. That you need to be in a relationship or you're going to meet your spouse. Was that something that you sort of like? I mean, that's definitely something that I think it was more like TV shows and films and songs just fill your head with all these ideas of what uni will be like. But was that the same thing for you, Jazz? Did you sort of feel like going into uni that you would meet your spouse or you should be in a relationship while at uni?
No, actually, I started off very similarly to where you said that you're kind of now. So I started off with it is me, myself, and I, and nobody else, and don't bother Jazz. That was me.
Okay.
I was the type of person I would mess about and stuff like that, and I was that girl with a roster, but that's because I was quite uncaring. I didn't need that feeling aspect. I didn't want that feeling aspect. So meeting my spouse, I was just like, oh God, no. Like I made friends with some girls who were like, they were third year, they're long gone now. And they were in relationships for years, and I was just like, oh, how can you cope? I was like, oh my gosh. Was not for me. Wasn't for me at all. And then but then first year, nice guy, swept me off my feet, didn't last long, it's all right. And no, it did then start to change my mindset and stuff like that. And it can happen. You can meet that person. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, it doesn't have to happen.
Oh, definitely.
Especially if you've just come straight through from school. You are 18. In the grand scheme of life, you are not that old.
100%.
Okay, it is okay. I definitely know for a couple of girls that I met, the mindset was, all right, I want my kid at 28, so I got to be with my man for like 2-3 years, and I got to meet him at 25. So then, I gotta start finding him now. Like end of uni is looking still a little too late, because I might as well be with him now, and then we can get married and get ahead. And I was, no, you don't need to do that. 100%. You're in your prime, go out, learn your alcohol tolerance, explore a little. Uni is the place to explore, have fun. Especially if you're living on campus, which, you guys have already covered. Go out and not have to worry about, oh my God, I'm going to tell my parents, or I've got to ask them if I go out with so-and-so. And, learn how to cook, learn how to budget. Cover these life skills first. Because, not going to lie, if you are going to meet your spouse at uni, you need to learn these basic life skills first. 100%. So it is nice. It was an expectation of mine. Like I said, towards the end, I thought I met my love of my life. Clearly not. But no, it is something that I did then warm up to the idea of. But at the same time, thankfully, I did start off with, in the back of my mind, I don't need it right now. I'm 22. I've got a job. I've just finished 4 years at uni. I got my graduation on Thursday. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I've got so much still to do. It can wait a little while. Do you know what I mean?
What's really good about the advice was, again, it's not about putting that pressure, but it's also about letting university allow you to find out more about yourself. So what you like in a relationship, what you don't like, sort of like what I was saying. I mean, I know even was a joke, but 100% like knowing your alcohol tolerance is super important, because there are some people that can get drunk and the most that's going to happen is that they're just going to pass out somewhere and fall asleep. There are some people that might get a bit too close to people when they're drunk, and especially if you're in a relationship, that can get you in trouble. So it's about knowing knowing more about yourself, like figuring out, this is what I want in a relationship, this isn't what I want in a relationship, because I think at the end of the day, it's better for you to sort of like wait to to not even like find your spouse, but it's better to sort of be in a position where you're just like, cool, if I have a spouse now, you know, it's something nice, but it's not something I need. And you know, you've got the finances, you know what you want in the relationship. Then for you to sort of like rush in, and then it's like all these things that happen afterwards. You're then like, oh, well, actually, I didn't know this person was like this, or I didn't know about this certain topic. They didn't want this, or I didn't know if it came to like having kids that this is what they would think, or this is what they would do, type thing. So yeah, I definitely agree with that, and I feel like it's yeah, university. We sort of mentioned it in like okay, one of the episodes, I don't know which one, but we mentioned it before that like university, someone said is like the only time where you can make mistakes and I mean, again, saying that they make mistakes and it's only going to affect you can still be shocking. But like at the end of the day, if you make a mistake, it's just affecting you. But once you leave uni, you make a mistake, you know, it could cost you your job. It could cost you your house. It could cost you other things. Whereas with university, that's that stable point where you can learn. And I'm just saying this now, whether you are a guy or a girl, if you can't cook a nice meal, I'm not even saying like just like from a point of view as like, oh, you know, like, you know, women are the only ones who cook. No, I'm saying like in general, like if you can't cook a good meal, period, if you're trying to impress parents, you need to be able to cook and cook well because taking them to a fancy restaurant is good and all, shows that you got money. There'll be times where they'll be like, oh yeah, let's go over to the family house to you know see the young couple. And if you can't cook a good meal, I'm telling you, especially as a Nigerian, if you can't cook, like see you later. So yeah, so definitely take that time to sort of figure out more about yourself, learn new skills, and sort of learn things that you know help you independently. But you then can use those skills in a relationship because you'll then know more about yourself or what you want and what you don't want.
Yeah. Yeah, university is definitely the time to live with yourself, learn about yourself, get to know yourself, because it's probably the first space where you are alone. You know, it's the first space where you don't have the influence of family, of formal education in terms of like your teachers see you each and every day and you know exactly they're telling you what to do and what you should think and what you should expect because university is actually kind of the opposite to that. It's actually telling you to be a bit more free thinking and explore and cover other ideas. So you might not have had that opportunity before. But yeah, it's definitely uni is the space where you can kind of date yourself. And I know it sounds very sad to say, but take yourself out on dates. Go into town, you know, go have a drink, go maybe try and talk to about one or two people just randomly, see how your confidence works. And then when it comes into, okay, I just want to talk to people rather than, you know, making a new friend, it's, oh, when I actually want to talk to someone because I want to date them and I want to, you know, get to know them, then, you know, you have that confidence that you know, oh yeah, I'm a person that I can approach someone and I can talk to them really easily. That's cool. Or you learn, actually, that's not me. I'm not really that person.
That's true. That's true.
But also, yeah, it's like, oh, I can take care of myself. I keep my room clean. I can feed myself. I know how to handle my money. I know exactly where I'm going in life. I know what my ambitions are. All right, I'm pretty secure within myself. Now let's bring another person into the mix.
Exactly.
Don't bring another person into the mix if you don't know what you're doing with yourself.
100%.
It starts to get very muddled and very confusing, and it's not good for either of you.
No,
You know?
100%, 100%. And you know, one quick thing before we sort of wrap up is I think it's really important that you mentioned there that it's about you figuring, well, not only about you figuring out yourself, but you sort of like knowing that you are like you're good, like you are good in all aspects of good can be, and you know whether that is you know figuring out what you want to do after uni, whether that's figuring out what you want to do in life in general. Like I think the worst thing that can happen is when you sort of like you sort of rush into everything and then you look back and you're just like wow, like what, like I think especially from uni, like I think the worst thing that can happen is you come out and you're just like that, like those 3 years were like the worst 3 years of my life, or like even like that degree is utterly useless to me because I genuinely like don't like that subject. And I've always said you can learn from mistakes, so even if that was the case you can you know figure out that what you can do afterwards. But I feel like that's such a gutting feeling because university gives you, like we said, it gives you that option to figure out stuff, figure out what you want to do in life essentially. And you've got a support system. You know, we've mentioned some of these systems before, whether it's budgeting or accommodation or making friends. But one thing that I sort of forgot, so I sort of had a bit of an ad lib. But the thing that I definitely remembered was that I wanted to highlight was interesting that you mentioned, the whole idea of speaking, going out on self dates, because I think that that's something that a lot of people, I think especially for me, because I grew up with, so I've got three older siblings, and there's a big age gap between, well, it's not really that big, but there's an age gap between like me and the rest of my siblings. So for me, I've always like, anytime I was going out, it was, if it wasn't me and my parents, it was one of my siblings. And I feel like, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, so I don't want my siblings to then like quote me out on this. But like, I think now, one of the things that we had like a episode, shout out, it'll be one of the corners again. But we had an episode on like it was just like never have ever. And one of the things was like going on a solo vacation, and we all just like, no, we haven't. But one of the people in the team, Michelle, she was saying that she goes on like sort of like you said, like self dates. So she'll just go out to an art museum if she wants to go, or she'll go out and relax in a coffee shop because she wants to. And that was one of the things that we were sort of saying as a group, that like it's one of those things where you just feel weird because you're not doing an activity with someone, but also getting to that point is really good. And one thing that sort of, like I said, it's funny that you mentioned it because like we didn't discuss this before, but when you said it, I was like, I've got to talk about it. Is the idea you said about like just talking to one person. So I think there was like one. I don't know, maybe a few years ago, I was just like, kind of like what you said, I want to get more confident with approaching people. And I was like, one thing I'm going to do is anytime I'm in like an Uber or like a taxi or whatever, I'm going to try and talk to the driver. Like, I'll see where the conversation goes. If he doesn't want to talk for the whole journey, cool. But I'll just see how it goes. So like every time I get on one now, my first question always is just like, how are you doing? How's your day? Have you been on a long shift? That type of thing. And sometimes we'll go like for a long conversation. Sometimes I learn really interesting things. And I feel like it's just that. So like now, when it comes to sort of approaching people at like you said, in scenarios where you're sort of like, oh, I want to get to know this person because I'd like to date them type thing. You're sort of already trained. I mean, it sounds, I really don't want to say training, like I'm sort of like, it's like some exercising, but like it's more of like you're now more comfortable with it because you've sort of done it in an environment where you've learned the skill, you've practiced it, sort of learned your craft. So yeah, I feel like it's that. It's just try, like you said, like whether it's going out to the cinema by yourself or going to exhibits or whatever, doing activities yourself. But even if it's just like, I'm going to go to, I don't know, karaoke. And I'm just going to, I might not sing, but I'm going to go up to someone who sings and be like, you did a really great job. Or even if it's like, I'm going to go around campus, I'm on campus today. If I see someone wearing like a really cool top, I'm going to be like, hey, that's a really cool top. And it's just those things that actually just help you to sort of become sort of better at socializing. Because yeah, at the end of the day, people. I mean, I'm not saying you should just compliment people for complimenting sake, but like everyone always like appreciates a comment and a compliment. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. So yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. I'm not saying, walk up to a group and, hi guys, how are you? Start a whole conversation. That's fine. You don't have to do that.
Exactly.
But yeah, you always see those geezers at the bar who's standing there with their pint and they're chatting to, the person behind the bar. Be that person. They're working anyway. If they don't want to chat to you, they'll ignore you. They will ignore you. But yeah, just be like, oh, stand at the bar. It's already there. Just be like, oh, hey, long shift. How's it going? You all cool? A quick thing. We're not saying get their life story, but yeah, just a quick thing. Then you know how to start up a conversation. I'm a really bad person for it. I will be running around venue, or well, used to be acting up, but I'll go running around venue, and I'm like, your skirt. Meeting girls in the bathroom. I'm really sorry if you've seen me around campus and you're like, hey, and I look at you really blankly and I don't know who you are. I've probably met you drunk on a Wednesday. But do you know what I mean? I'm just that person that I will just run around drunk and everybody's got a compliment. I'm Brunel's Oprah. But I'm not giving out money.
But no, but I think that's so true. Yeah, and I definitely agree.
But then it's like I've met some of my friends that way that,
Exactly.
you know, I met them drunk and they recognized me sober and, you know, we had a bit of a laugh about it and we haven't stopped being friends since. And, you know, life works out. Life works out differently. But yeah, definitely make sure date yourself first before you date anyone else. Make sure that you're comfortable and confident with yourself. Insecurities can really get in the way especially if you let them and you haven't addressed them first, because that's when it just starts to get quite unhealthy and you don't want that, because it doesn't help either of you, like I said before.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely agree. So that's why Jeffrey's here to tell you that you are a dime. You are one of a kind. You're unique and you're amazing. So yeah, get out there, love yourself, treat yourself. And yeah, thank you for listening, because we've now come to the end of the episode. Like I said, all things must come to an end, and this is the end of the episode. I want to say a huge thank you to Jazz for being an amazing guest speaker and for coming onto the podcast today. It's been honestly a great pleasure to speak to you about dating at uni and to learn more about that, learning some tips, some advice, hearing your own personal experience. But also, thank you to you, our wonderful audience, for coming back for another episode. Before I go to our usual thing about if you liked another episode and stuff like that, there might be some people thinking, wow, Jazz, you are an amazing person. I want to, you mentioned stuff on uni. I want to see you, or, mention society stuff. They might even want to speak to you more about this. What is the best way for our audience to do that?
Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, my Instagram's public, so you can definitely find me. I don't hide well, so yeah. My Instagram, Jazzy JAZZY.pink. Pink like my jumper. That's my Instagram. That's probably the best way. My staff email, so jasmine.pink@brunel.ac.uk. You can also find me just at the union reception in the student activities office. I tell the society committee members all the time, come in, visit me, say hey, give me a hug, let's go for a walk, or we can go for a coffee in Locos on 1966. That's totally open to all of you at Brunel as well. If you want to come and see me, I'm in the office basically each and every day. There is also a calendar in there which says when I'm off as well. So if you don't find me on one day, then, you'll know exactly when to find me next. So please come into the union reception as well. Come find me, have a chat. We'll go for a walk and we'll talk more about dating. I can talk about it for forever. So I've got loads more to give.
Who knows? We might have Jazz back for another episode, so keep an eye out. And before I do the last bit, congratulations on your graduation. I should have said this at the start. But yeah, congratulations on your graduation, and honestly, wish you all the best with it.
Well, yeah, no, Master of Research. And I did both of my dissertations actually in dating. I did my undergraduate dissertation in interracial relationships, and I did my master's dissertation in online relationships. So when I say I know my stuff, Brunel's dating guru.
Oh, well, no, thank you.
Happy to help.
Thank you so much. And, our wonderful audience, if you like this episode, like, comment, subscribe is always appreciated and always welcomed. If you want to know when the next episode is coming out, just click the notification bell so you don't miss it. And finally, if you're interested in receiving some perks, as well as supporting the podcast, because we obviously can't do this without all your support, then please do check out our Patreon page. The link is in the description. But wishing you a great day. At this point of recording, it's before Christmas, so I know there's already another episode that's coming out before Christmas, but if this comes out after Christmas, well, Merry Christmas, hope you had a great Christmas. But this should be out before New Year, so honestly wishing you a very blessed and happy New Year with loads of joy and loads of reasons to celebrate. And we'll see you next time where you learn something that no one told you. So that's bye from us here, and yeah, see you soon.